Hi, my name is Madison Lima from Period 4 Math Analysis, and today I'm going to show you how to graph a secant graph using this equation. You got y equals -2 secant in parentheses 2x plus pi over 2 plus 1. So first let's talk about a secant graph. Secant really means 1 over cosine theta. And here we know there's going to be a domain issue because 1 over 0 does not exist. So let's look at where cosine theta equals 0. Let's take a look at the unit circle really quick. So if this is your unit circle, where would cosine theta equals 0? Well, you have this point and this point right here at 0, 1 and 0, -1. All right, moving on. So now we know there's going to be some asymptotes in the graph. So let's just graph this as a normal cosine graph, and we'll get to our asymptotes when we graph it. So let's look at the pieces of this graph. So you have this negative right here means that there's going to be a reflection. This 2 means that the amplitude is going to be 2. This obviously means that there's a secant graph. And let's factor out this 2 really quick. So 2x, and that's going to be a plus pi over 4. We just factor out that 2. So let's look at our new period. So to find our new period, you just take the original period, which is 2 pi over 2, because you have the 2 right here. And then these just cancel out. So now your new period is going to be pi. So this is your period. Okay, and then we know that this is going to be a phase shift. So it's going to be a phase shift to the left, pi over 4 times. And I'll show you why that is later on. And this is going to be the last step. And this just means we're going to move up the graph 1 unit. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the original x coordinates of the cosine graph, which is 0, pi over 2. You have pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So we're going to take this piece right here, and let's just say that this equals these coordinates right here. So like we did right here, we're going to divide all of this by 2. So 0 divided by 2 is 0. A pi divided by 2 is pi over 4. And then you have pi over 2. And we got a 3 pi over 4. And a pi. All right. And so now we just have x plus pi over 4 equals these coordinates. So we're going to subtract pi over 4, from these coordinates. So now we have negative pi over 4, 0. Now we have pi over 4, pi over 2, and 3 pi over 4. So these are going to be our coordinates right here that we're using for this graph right here. Because we already did the phase shifts when we pulled them from the original x coordinates. So I'm going to erase the work that we just did. I'm going to leave these coordinates right here. And we're going to graph this. Okay, so let's get to our graph. Okay, so, you know what, I'm going to move that right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot these points down. So we have a negative pi over 4. 0 is right there. Then we have a pi over 4. Okay, then a pi over 2. And then a 3 pi over 4. Now, the cosine graph, originally, it looks like this. Oh, sorry, I forgot to write in my amplitude right here. This is going to be 2, right? Because we have the 2. And this is going to be -2 right here. But we actually have a reflection. So I'm just going to make this a little bit. Okay, so we have a reflection. So I'm going to need to reflect this graph. Okay. And now we just need to, our last step was to move up 1 unit. So I'm just going to add a 3 right there. This is going to be a -1. Sorry, this is a little bit difficult to see. And just move up your graph 1 unit. So right here, starting right here from pi over 4. You're going to move up here, down, and then just finish right there. So actually that's going to be the final graph. Just like that. Sorry, it's a little bit difficult to see, but this is going to be our final graph. And I'm actually just going to erase this really quick, and I'll show you one last time what it looks like. Alright, just going to be just like that, sorry, it's got a little bit messy. Okay, this is the cosine graph. So, where are our zeros at? We have a 0, we have 1 0 right here, and another 0 right here. Okay, so let's draw in our asymptotes. Here are the asymptotes to the graph we just graphed. Okay, and since our secant graph cannot touch these asymptotes, we're actually going to start right here at the top and not touch them, because if we go down, then we're going to touch the zeros. So now we've got to go up like that, and then right here, I'm just going to erase these points since you guys already know, and then not touch the asymptotes, just make them longer. We're going to go down, and then we have another point right here. We're going to go just straight down. So now I'm going to take out the cosine graph so you can see that a little bit better. And this is what it should look like. This graph right here. Now, obviously with different periods of the graph, this part would go down again and down again, but we just have one period, so we don't actually need that, just need this. All right, and that's how you draw a secant graph using this equation, the y equals -2 secant and parentheses 2x plus pi over 2 plus 1. And thank you very much.